Alright guys, here we're talking about Daredevil Season 3, Episode 12. We're one away from the last episode we will ever get of this version of Daredevil.
So upset.
As it should be.
And the format is a little subverted, because, spoiler alert, cutting to the end, this ends with Daredevil being like, no, we're doing it my way now, and like storms out.
Well, and Nadeem getting a bullet to the head.
Well, yes, but I'm saying, like, the plan, what you thought might have been the plan, the plan that they enact basically fails miserably due to Fisk being, like, impossibly 10 steps ahead as usual, which is fine.
That is his superpower.
That is his superpower. That and being a goddamn rhinoceros. But yes, so now potentially episode 13 is the all-out throwdown, knockdown, brawl.
Yeah.
Whereas in a lot of the other shows that we watched recently, you kind of build up to something, it starts to come into play in like the second to last episode. Then the last episode is kind of like a wrap-up followed by, you know,
like 30 minutes of like where we'll be to pick up the next season.
Of like walking around with like Misty talking to Colleen and like just like talking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I don't hate. I think Game of Thrones does something similar where they're gigantic. We dropped $40 million on like the second to last episode. And last episode's like, ooh guys, holy shit, what are we doing next season? And they just kind of talk and like walk around and do stuff.
Usually it's to build the suspense so for the following season you're like, oh man, this is going to be nuts. Well, but I wonder, because going into this, I don't think that any of this was a surprise. Like, they may have thought there was some last minutes, we might be able to do this, but, like, the contracts were, like, ending.
I don't want to, like, directly contradict you in front of the fans, but, like, I just read something where, like, Marvel was surprised that, like, Netflix didn't renew Daredevil.
Oh, the thing I read was
like,
completely the opposites. I read a thing like a few weeks ago now that said it had the marked out dates for when all the contracts were up. And it was like Disney let them know like X amount of months before, like they knew those dates. So like
I'd have to find the thing, but like upon reading it, I was like, oh shit! So like I shouldn't hate Marvel, I should hate Netflix apparently.
Well, they did say like Netflix had to pay X amount of money, and Marvel was sticking to their guns of making them do 13-episode seasons for I think $300,000 per episode was the Marvel's cut.
Totally worth it.
I agree. I don't know if the views were there though anymore.
I wonder, but like I don't know. I feel like it's so strange timing wise. We keep saying we're not going to talk about the show being canceled, but we're just going to keep talking. We're just going to keep talking about the show being canceled. It's so strange timing wise with that Marvel Disney service looming.
That's what in the article I read was saying that was all the thing, and they said the only I guess reprisal or like last like shot as they died from Netflix was there's a thing in the contract that they have to wait 2 years before they can pick up any properties after Netflix had them. So there's going to be 2 more years of nothing with these characters because Netflix had their claws into the properties.
It just seems like such a strange decision. Like Netflix knows who's watching what, I guess, so I can't really speak to that. They're the
only ones actually. Yeah,
like whatever they choose to publish, we can always interpret however we want about whatever we want. But I don't know, it just seems really dumb. I feel like this is part of the not like part of the reason to have Netflix, but it's like a unique thing that's
originals are what they're there for. But after this, you're not going to get any properties on any other services.
Yeah, this was like your foothold.
That was the last
the thing. So I don't know, maybe they have like a long-term plan to keep, okay, it's more about like whatever team is making these shows. Is it a Marvel team or like a Netflix team?
I believe it was a Netflix team.
They've subcontracted someone or like whatever, because each one feels different. Luke Cage feels kind of different from Jessica Jones.
Different writers.
So, yeah, but I don't know if like the whole team is different, if like the directors and the writers and the whole thing, or like if there's someone sitting above it all that's like controlling it all or whatever. But I would wonder what their plan is to do with all these people. Obviously the actors, you can't just reuse them in different stuff, but I'm like, are they looking to the future of like a non-Marvel way to do similar shows and just say fuck it?
If I was Netflix, like the man who hands out the money and the signs that you can do this. If I was John P. Netflix, my thoughts now with knowing the popularity of things and not wanting to spend as much money would be going to lesser titles. Yeah. I would hit up your more you'd
hit up Image Comics.
Yeah, I would.
And make a Shadowhawk show. For
I don't know if I would.
$30,000 an episode instead of $300,000.
But that's the difference. You might even be able to make a deal with a smaller guy where it's like, okay, we pay you this % because no one's ever fucking heard of your shit, and this is going to boost your comic sales. Like,
right. That's what I'm getting at. Is if you just because like the best, most interesting part about these shows is never that it happens to be this superhero. It's all the stuff that that they build around it. and there's
Sure,
probably...
but the decades of writing on these characters is is what made them even able to pick up and do these things. Like the problem was you're writing with a lesser known title, you might end up with something that's like, that's not even really the character anymore. You're alienating the few people that do know it.
Good.
I don't know if that's true. Because we've seen a lot of higher budget remakes be dirty garbage, and Netflix has a history of not making dirty garbage. Yeah. But you don't want there's always the turn. Like at some point, people always overstay their welcome.
And like regardless of how good it is, there's a huge danger of people just being like, wait, you canceled all those good shows and now you made these bootleg fake superhero shows that I've never heard of, or they may just be out of the superhero show game entirely.
I don't know.
But I'm depressed. Because it looks like this is all building to a big slam next episode.
Yeah,
and that will be the
end. That will be the last slam.
Unless it's like a 2.5 hour episode. And I haven't checked.
I don't think it is. And even if it was, would that even make it that much better? I'm a quantity over quality person, and I would have wanted more.
And I would want a big hunk of show.
But we have one more season, Jessica Jones, one more season of The Punisher.
Yeah, and anything can still happen. Who knows what they're gonna do? Mm-hmm. Nothing good, but like technically anything can happen. So what happens in this episode?
So
hold on. It opens with a helicopter and like Vanessa arrives.
Yes, and it's not the same character.
Actress, you mean?
Doesn't that look like a different person?
So, okay, let me walk you through my whole process here. I was like, is that the same actress? Maybe. You know what? I would never fucking recognize her in a million years, whether it was her or not. I have no idea. I don't like that character.
I meant to look it up, and I did not.
I hate this, whatever, right? And then as the episode goes on, it just features her more and more. And there's no, like, subtlety. There's no, like, writing. You don't see her, like, looking at like, Fisk with, like, a certain look or whatever. They just fucking talk, and she just tells him all of her feelings, like, super quick. And I'm like, what is the rush of having to explain all this to make him, to make her, like the Harley Quinn to his Joker or something like that? Why are you rushing this? Why is it so shitty? She should be like suspicious. She should be like, I'm not stupid, Wilson. I know what you're doing. She should be like doing that stuff, and he's like, I'm sorry, I just and it should be this long thing, not this like it was shoved into 22 minutes.
Forced.
I was so upset. I'm like, this sucks, guys.
And really, it was. And if that is the same actress, I'm sorry, but it felt twice as bad to me because I was like, who the hell's this bitch? Yeah. And what the fuck? Like it just shoves right forward.
Well, so I like could have looked it up because I have all the same thoughts too, but I like intentionally just like didn't because I realized that that whole thing of like whether it's the same actress or not,
it doesn't really matter now.
Right, like and earlier I even said like, will we even see her? And I may have said out loud because I don't care about her at all. She had a certain role to play. It was very interesting, like how in like season 1, I think they repeat the whole morning omelet montage, but now she's next to him in all the shots. Like that was interesting. But besides that, her like role in like the show has just been to give him motivation and make him crazy and do stuff like that.
How dramatically different she is from season 1 is the biggest like what you're throwing wrenches into the gears. What's happening?
Well, where
here?
She's like.
She became she became female kingpin overnight. Where she's like we murdered him. That's why. And in the first one, she's like, I sell paintings. Like la la like. Yeah, well, it's like you just made Barbie into like a killer.
Well, I actually like tried to struggle to remember, but that's the point is that I don't vividly remember if she was dark and did all these things.
No, she like had problems with him doing things. She was very much straight laced.
Well, her time in Spain has changed her.
It appears. I was thinking that there was going to be a twist when she first started talking. She's like, well, while I spent this time and never too far from a bodyguard, I fell in love. And I thought there was going to be a thing with like one of the bodyguards, and then it was going to be him going crazy with blah blah, him like hitting her with a hammer or smashing her into the white painting or something was going to happen interesting.
I thought she was going to comment about the lack of that because they leave the whole spot on the wall just empty. He doesn't have the wherewithal to put like another fucking painting in there to hope to like distract or whatever the fuck. There's a gigantic space that's perfect for that painting that's just empty, right? And Dex goes to Fisk and like gets the cold shoulder where he's like, I've put too much on your shoulders. We'll talk later. And he's like, and like the wasp noise is playing and he's like, oh god. So I was like, oh great. So like Dex is gonna be like, hey, is there anything I could do for you, ma'am? And she's gonna be like, yeah, I wonder if there should be like a painting here. And he's like, oh, and then that makes him go do that. I was like, oh, this is great. This is gonna be wonderful. Yeah. And then she's gonna have to be like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And then Dex is like, wait, no. And then it's this whole like thing. It's this awesome where he's like, wait, I killed that old bitch to like steal her painting. But he ended up doing it on his own, which I think we talked about last time. Like, okay, Dex is going to do this to make up for him or whatever.
And I thought you'd get a more pissed off Fisk, like I want her to have that painting, son of a bitch, and he's just like, I wanted her to have
intended for her
painting
to keep it. Yeah, I know.
But whatever, a little bit of blood on the painting.
A little bit of
never
blood
hurt
on
nobody.
the fucking painting. There's a cool line where she's like, we should arrange to have it hung for us, and then looks at him all weird, and I was like, oh, okay. Darkness. Yeah. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Just to jump in, did you think Nadim was going to die?
Kind of.
Did you think it was going to happen in this episode, or did you think it was going to happen in the finale?
So in that scene, as it kept playing out, I was kind of like, oh, okay, he dies here, but I wasn't sure how or when or what was going to happen exactly. I like partially thought it might be like a quote unquote trap of some sort.
It played out the way he wasn't going inside and the things like it seemed like he had a plan of some sort that was more than just I'm going to pull my gun out.
I know.
I was like, okay, did Daredevil and him do something?
Yeah.
Is there a thing here? Is there like is that other cop who drove him over there is waiting something like?
Yeah, because he.
No.
Because he looks at he knows the camera's there. They show him looking at the camera, and then he like records the note for his family on his phone.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, he's about to execute like a risky maneuver. He's not going to be half in the bag, trying to quick draw against Bullseye or whatever, right? Which is never going to work.
Yeah, you're going to die. You're trying to take him down with your last.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do. It's not the
worst plan, and he knows when he's dead,
but like,
there's no real reason to kill his family. Although a ruthless bastard may kill your family anyway, because who knows what you told them.
You gotta take that chance. But like the setup, so like even at Fisk's control room, you see that he has the feed of the camera angle that Nadim looked into. So I was like, okay, good. So like they did this intentionally. This is like a trap of some sort, but it was not a trap. He just gets killed. I like that he gets killed, and I like that he gets killed that way. He kind of subtly like throws the beer bottle, and then kind of just keeps talking to him, trying to be like, hey man, we can do this. We're FBI agents. Yeah. All that stuff. So I was like, I like this. This is fine.
Now Dex is too far gone. There was no going to be able to sway him one way or another. This is who he was like. He like wants to be. He's like, no, I just kill people. I do what I want. I hear bees. I'm fine.
I'm finally living my best life. It's perfect. Which he basically says, and then murders him. I like that when he like murders him, murdered him. He like you hear like a dog barking and like lights start going on like the neighborhood, like it's not cool. And I'm like, perfect, good, because he said, "Why don't you come inside?" All that stuff, like the whole thing. I'm like, nice, good.
But like even if he fully got caught here, he's still an FBI agent. He can still say whatever he wants. He can still have it because Fisk has lawyers and money.
Oh no, he'll be fine. But like, I hate when someone says we should really go over there because if we stay over here, something's going to happen, and then they don't go over there, and they do the thing, but then everything's fine.
Yeah,
they
just it's nice to see it play out in a way that makes sense.
It's still dark. Yeah, where I'm like, okay, cool.
In a suburban area, a gunshot happens in the middle of the night. Yeah, people are going to hear it.
It's a dumb little thing, but I love little things like that, where someone says, "Oh, we're not going to be able to do this," and then they do it, and then something happens bad, and they go, "That's what I was talking about." Okay. How do we get to that point, though? We have a thing in the middle.
All right.
Nadine's going to testify.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to, whatever angle we want to go through here.
So him trying to testify is interesting. I like Matt listening through the wall, and he knows the verdict's coming back. That he had one of the jurors memorize everyone's address, so that he's like, nope, you're gonna do what I say, or you're gonna die, and I'll kill your family. And
that's once he's actually testified. We find
I'm
out
not familiar enough with how this grand jury thing works. Where like
I don't know.
We just quick pull him in. We got a jury. Go. It seemed interesting. Like I don't even know why a jury is I guess a jury is always in quotes required, but I feel like they could start proceedings on things when they just have a witness saying that this happened.
Oh well, the system is that the grand jury. Like, when you go to jury duty, it's petite jury, whatever, and the grand jury hears these major cases.
I was up for one grand jury once.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
they're just given, like, a no-go of, like, pressing charges or moving forward or whatever.
But with what they're doing, because it's like just straight up murder things, you'd think they'd be able to pull Fisk in before that stuff happens. Like you get arrested before your trial in life.
I don't know what the overall deal is with the whole thing. They didn't really lay out the stakes too cleanly.
There's a certain point where the jury doesn't even matter, and the judge just can just say okay, the jury was wrong. Like judges overturn things. That's
at the grand jury.
I know there is a thing where it would be obvious that a person's being blackmailed or whatever. If this person's like, okay, I saw them murder. We do not think there's enough evidence. What do you mean?
Yeah, but the way the system is, the judge can't just do whatever he wants.
Well, I've seen things where the judge can say no and punish people, or take a punishment a jury says away. I think judges have certain powers.
They have some sway in sentencing, not in pressing charges. But we'll get off the legal topics here, right? If we go back, there's a whole plan. Karen goes to her old editor, who we like, and tells him there's a little Knish talk. I thought something was going on there, because she tells him in a few hours Fisk is going to testify, and then Fisk is 3 steps ahead of them or something like that.
You thought that he was on the other team?
I was gonna be so happy. Imagine him doing a heel turn.
Oh, I don't think so.
Delivering that speech and being like, "I'm sorry, Karen. It's just this is how the world works," or something like that. Oh, it'd be amazing. But no, and they go to great lengths to point out in episode that's not what's happening. They have a whole conversation. Felix, who's gonna die, I assume, is Fisk's right hand limey man.
Yeah.
And they have a long conversation about oh, this is happening. They've doubled security. Okay, we're going to deduce that he's gonna testify. Okay, fine, or whatever. So I was like, okay, there goes that. But the plan is Karen with her hoodie, looking like a vampire, is gonna be going outside to give a little weird press conference, while Foggy and Matt.
You wonder how she doesn't just get killed.
Or whatever.
She's right out in the open.
Yeah.
And Fisk wants her dead. He has a man that could throw a marble from 4 miles away and just kill her.
Kill her. Yeah.
So I don't know how she's alive right now.
Right, it doesn't quite make sense.
Doesn't jive.
I understand that. There's a whole thing beforehand. They are coaching Nadim, right? So she's waiting there. They're on the way, right? Before they leave, the DA comes in to sign off on the whole thing. He won't give him full immunity, and then they argue about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you know what? 5 years is fine. And he does the whole thing or whatever. There's a whole sentimental deal.
That's the worst deal ever, though. When it's okay, I take this 5-year deal, I will testify, and then he testifies, it goes nowhere, he gets 5 years, doesn't get the guy, caught. It's either way he'd be dead in jail.
Yeah. I wonder how all that plays out.
So that's why he punches and leaves, right? Because he's like, all right, this is my last chance, I'm going to die either way, because in jail, he'll die. It's just a fact.
I was going to say, I assumed the whole time that everyone knew that if he goes to prison, one of Fisk's guys will just kill him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I assumed this was this is my one and only chance, and it doesn't work out or whatever. But what I'm getting to slowly is the actual physical, right? You were talking about. This is our action set piece for the episode is going through traffic with Nadim and Matt.
That part was actually pretty great. I thought I can't fire blind. It's that's good. Just shooting through the walls of the van. He's killing people. All right, lead me like I can't see. And
I wrote that line
all
down.
The information.
Yeah, totally. I like that. I wrote that line down. I did write. This is like a video game where you have to get to a checkpoint, which is the car, and then the level just ends or whatever.
They and most of the time, the bad guys just seem inept. And these ones were no exception to that rule. They're walking around bungling, barely doing anything with their automatic weapons.
It was interesting. It seemed way over the whole, I forget who they were supposed to be if they said, but Fisk is call our friends, do anything. I will not be indicted. And does the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So, these were, real-ass hardcore criminals. There's one dude, I wrote down, he fights, where is it, Ivan Drago? I forget what I wrote down.
Okay.
Cranked Ivan Drago. Because he's wearing a tracksuit kind of. Has the Jason Statham haircut, but he's a big Ivan Drago type dude. Nadim has to fight him hand to hand and all this stuff. It's a whole thing, and then ends up getting just saved by DareDevil.
As it should be, because while Nadim is an FBI agent and they're trained to fight, they're nothing compared to
DareDevil. Oh my god. And so they keep the whole theme going of Nadim being a good shot and shooting and being good at stuff, which I kind of like, I think.
He seems impossibly good for like what we've seen him do in other scenes with a gun.
Sure.
But you know, it was entertaining and good. So like I wasn't watching it going, "Are you serious? He's killing everybody one shot." Like
I kind of like how he it would be cliche for him to like not be good. For him to be kind of like scared, and for him to like not be good at stuff and be all like about everything.
I thought it was odd that he even had a gun.
What do you mean?
He's on his way to testify, and he's testifying for murders, which he's going to jail for. He shouldn't be an FBI agent anymore.
I was going to say, and he's not like on duty because he's turning on everybody and doing everything.
Well, I think the moment you admit you murdered somebody, you are under arrest. I don't think there would be any position where you're like, no, I'm still a cop though, and I do a thing, and I have my gun. He's, for all like, rational purposes, he should be in a prison transport as a prisoner going to a testifying, like, his hearing or whatever.
They kind of arranged like a weird special deal and all that stuff.
I understand the way they arranged it, where it's like, okay, the cop's going to go this way, we're going to try to make it so he can actually get there alive. But it didn't make sense to me that he'd have a gun.
Sure.
And no armed escort, honestly.
No, the whole thing's a little clunky and like a little weird. I did like the scene though. There's a part 2.
The scene's fun.
I want to point out where he's like he just like goes into like this this bus and he's like, "Hello, hello," and he like
help
pretends to be blind. What's happening out there? And then like they like use that to their advantage. I like stuff like that.
I liked it because it worked, but in real life that's a very risky maneuver that a person wouldn't just be like, "Person, shoot!" Like
I literally thought about that. I was like, he could just shoot him from like all the way over there, and there's no way to get the plan going.
No.
But Daredevil can hear bullets, as we know. He can dodge bullets.
Yes.
I don't know.
It's been a thing that I dislike about it all the time. Where like I understand like what he's really hearing is like the man's first finger touching the trigger, so like he can dodge and has like the idea of where things are. Because if it's that he's hearing the gun shot, he's already dead.
Right? The bullet travels too fast. Yeah. For sound. I know. It's fine. They get there though. They get to the car with like the blue circle around it, and as they approach, it like fades and then pops back to widescreen. They're already gone. Right? That's how they get out. That was my only major like criticism, because I'm like, well, why? The bad guys have to be in cars. Why do they just abandon the whole thing once you get to like a car? It happens to be in like the front. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Whatever. So
he also heard like the keys to that car super far away.
Yes.
And he's like, we'll go there. There was nothing closer. It seems like when people scurry from their cars because of gunshots, do they often bring the keys?
He left just like a cab driver left the keys.
Yeah.
And he happened to be in like the front of the big pack of people that like stopped or something. But I don't. It's not the best. A little something there.
Yeah.
Not quite the best.
And for being in New York City, there was like no police response, like at all.
I know. The whole thing was kind of weird. Mm-hmm. But yes, fun. He gets some good moves on some guys, does some stuff. He like
when he jumps through the windshield,
that was dumb.
That's the most ridiculous frog jump bullshit I've ever seen in my life. It's a windshield, bro.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna mention that. No, that was.
I had to mention it because I watched it, and the Deem didn't. Like, if I'm the Deem, I'd be like, "What the fuck?"
I know. If he hasn't caught on that he's literally a superhero, I assume that's like you're Daredevil, right? He knows the whole thing. I don't know if he understands quite like the scope of it or whatever though. Because he's acting like, well, yeah, it's fine. Just jump through a windshield. I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm sure the FBI has been privy to some, like, there are extraordinary humans. Like, we've seen stuff.
Imagine if there was more of that in the show. Wouldn't that be good?
Well, it may have been in the future.
We may have been able to develop that. Stop hurting me. You're just twisting the knife.
Well, we know from Jessica Jones they have special prisons, and the FBI, I'm sure, understands.
100%.
And knows, and maybe even has new classes on how to deal with a metahuman. Or
yeah, that should be a whole part of everything. They should have a special task force, special bullets. They get there. He testifies. If I'm leaving anything out, let me know.
It was a decent testify, too.
Yeah, he does the testification. It's like, you heard everything through the wall, right? That's kind of creepy, And then Foggy's like, oh, he's mad creepy, or something like that. Yeah. I'm like, nice. Foggy, is talking to him and Karen. He's like, feels good, huh? 3 of us back together. Say, no, okay, sorry. And does the whole stupid thing there, whatever. Then everything falls apart. Matt can overhear that the jury is not going to go for it.
Yes.
Then somehow all the reporters turn on the people outside. And like one of the reporters says, so are you a liar? You leaked, but now they're not gonna do it. And like I was like, wait, you're just leaking that they're trying to do it. Like the jury can weigh in however they want. Like what do you mean? It felt very strange.
Well, I think it's the way she said it. She said that he is going to be indicted or whatever, and like it's like, well, it's not.
She doesn't control the jury. How would she have said like, the jury is voting yes?
Well,
today?
being the reporter's not inside the no cameras are inside the courtroom. I think it's when you say I have a smoking gun, he's going to be arrested. No one assumes the jury can be tampered with, so they would assume the evidence they had was just shitty and that she's a liar. They did get very aggressive for
super weird.
What it was.
They're like running away from like an angry mob who's like, answer for your bullshit, and like they don't even say, hey, something fishy must have happened, or like this is ridiculous. Like they just go, oh no, and like run away. I don't know.
Well, I think that's them realizing like we lost. Fisk is so fucking powerful, and like
I would have said that into the live broadcast news cameras. Fisk is so powerful, he can't be indicted. This is horrible. We have evidence. This is crazy. But they were just like, how much is Fisk? He says, how much is Fisk paying you, Larry, or something to one guy, or something like that. Like, oh my god, I don't know. It felt weird. I did not like it.
I wonder exactly how does one even go about knowing who's going to be in, like, how high do you think his power goes? Because A, he has to know about all the jury members. That's something, right? But then he has to get the information to them after they've been selected. And
yeah, the timeline didn't quite make sense.
Unless he has every potential juror known and is ready, and then, like, or does he know the person who's doing the selection? Does he have both lawyers in his pocket? Like, how does this work to make this work?
Here's my thought process. The DA makes a comment like, oh, the grand jury is already doing this. I can make him do that. I'll just call him in for the afternoon or something weird, right? So, like, I feel like the grand jury might sit on a bunch of potential things in like a row. They get like convened for like a session or something like that. And Fisk just has them all whenever that happens.
Maybe.
It's just always there. Because the wormy dude who's like reading off the addresses, he's not reading them off, right? And he says out loud, he made me memorize them and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, so like there's not enough time between like 11:30 in the morning and like 4 p.m. to like get someone, take them somewhere, make them memorize all these things, put them back in, rely on them to not just start screaming, I've been kidnapped, help, or something, right? It's so crazy.
Yeah. My only thought would be that like he had the judge in his pocket.
Yeah, and that would make a lot more sense.
And the judge just wrote down these are the people, but it ends up in a strange way.
You could have had one of the like what was his name? Brick, horse, rhino, something. The bald guy from Night Court. One of those.
Oh, Bull.
Bull. See? There you go. You could have had like a Bull type guy be like, we have this communication from the whatever, and he goes, it's our addresses. Oh my god, what? And then he's like, Fisk or something. Oh fuck! And then they all go like, oh fuck. It didn't have to be some guy on the jury.
It played out a little goofy. It could have been better.
A lot of things could have been better. I'm a little worried about this show, Stefan.
Good thing it's gone.
I think that's basically
pretty much everything that happened in this episode. And ending with Nadeem dying, I thought was a powerful pop because it did set off like, okay, it's gonna go ham next episode because where else is it gonna go? You know.
So like the very last shot is after Matt storms out, and it's just Foggy and Karen, and they're just like defeated. They're just like,
because they're like, Matt's about to go murder the fuck out of people,
and it's great. And like
we've not ever seen an unrestrained Daredevil though, so like I wonder if it's
unrestrained.
Because everything he's doing is trying not to kill people. He's doing things. He's a good guy. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. But once you get into the mode where it's like, no, I want to end the threat immediately.
My goal
does he square off with Bullseye and just like it's a 4-second fight and he kills him?
I think he does kill Bullseye.
Yeah,
doesn't kill Fisk. So like, okay. I like Nadeem dying and like Matt storming out and that being like the end, because now any hope of like, well, maybe he can testify different again. And, well, maybe if he does this or whatever, like the whole Rahul thing is done. He's out. He's done. He's like never,
Yeah.
and like his family's done, and like the safe house and the bullshit and all that's done. We're done with that. Now it's just Matt, and it's like just Fisk and Karen and Foggy and Dex and like the different people, Officer Mahoney, Towers, whatever, AD. It's just like that world, and now that they have to deal with. Daredevil's still like wanted. There's still corrupt FBI and like other law enforcement who are like literally working for Fisk. And now he has to go in and do something. I wish they would have set something up where somebody was going to be somewhere or some like event was going to happen, so you could like mentally be like, oh, he's going to go to the whatever ball, the like police commissioner ball or something like that, and like do the thing there. Maybe when Foggy announces he's out of the race, there'll be like a thing, or the other guy has a thing because he's getting elected, or like something should be happening where he's going to be there. And like be like, haha.
I'd like it to end. Bullseye dies. Somehow Fisk's like girlfriend dies. Fisk doesn't die. Swears revenge. Never see it again.
He has to go back to prison though, right?
You'd think.
Or
he flees, or does something.
I expected this whole time for certain people to die and like Fisk to just go back to prison and Daredevil to be like, I guess I am Daredevil, and then like for that, for like the season and then end the show to just end with that.
I would like him to put the suit back on for the last episode. I'd like to see the suit at all.
There's still another suit. And I want that too. Yes, I want the moment of like 2 Daredevils, but he like beats and like unmasks Dex, and they're like, "That's FBI agent Poindexter McGillicuddy," and it's like, "What? If it wasn't for your damn kids." And we have a whole thing about like, and he's like, "I'm the real Daredevil, and I'm protecting the city. This guy's an imposter. He killed the people at the Daily Planet. Fuck this guy." And everyone goes, "What? Oh no!" And then he like goes off and does the whole like, we need like that type of moment.
Or we'll never get that kind of moment because. They do love to fuck with you where it's like, okay, now he is like permanently labeled as a potential murderer because he was unable to clear his name.
He's the hero that we need, Stefan.
Yeah.
Not the hero that we deserve. Wait. No, there's only one episode left. There's not enough time to do all the things that I want. But at the same
anyway.
But at the same time, other last episodes of other Marvel shows have seen us go to Cambodia and all these weird places really, really rapidly. So we might get 40 minutes of like, this fateful night when everything goes down, and then time skip years in the future and just get a little taste of like, hey, everything's happy now. Or whatever.
It's his kids, Marty.
It's your kids. Him and Jessica Jones are hanging out and something's happening. Like, I don't know. So in a sense, I will never be happy, and in the other sense, it could literally be anything. And I can't wait to find out next week on the show.
All right, guys, that was this episode. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.